The reason I haven't talked about Charlie Kirk is because I'm not accusing anybody else of doing this, by the way, at all. I've always believed, because I'm not a news station, I'm not a news channel, even though I know I used to have news in the name, I'm not a news channel, I always believe that I should let things like this breathe, and I believe that, generally speaking, people jump on these things too quickly. So let me explain what I mean. In the old days, I've mentioned this before, sorry, I need to stop walking around, sorry, it's not very professional, is it? In the old days, something terrible like this happened, and there would be mourning. There are people saying the world's in mourning, but there's also loads of people taking cheap shots, right? In the old days, when something like this happened, people would go into a kind of mourning. People would have respect. So, like, I used to talk about stuff when stuff happened in the UK. The UK used to come to a standstill if someone got hurt and tragedy, bombed, whatever. We would all stop. Some things happened to our society where we don't do that anymore. It's instead what happens is, and I remember Douglas Murray so many times being called onto news programs and saying people's bodies aren't even cold yet, and you're already getting onto the politics of whether they were right or wrong. And that's happened so many times over Islam, for instance. And now Charlie Kirk gets shot by whoever. And so the last thing I want to do is just jump on. I can't monetize videos anyway, but you get my point. Monetize videos, try and monetize his death, and also at the same time have, not give it that breathing space, because like I say, people will jump on to political points very quickly without acknowledging the fact that the man was 31. He's young. I realise how young that is now. I'm getting older. 2 kids, that's like, it's awful. It's awful. And and by the way, I just want to make a point here very quickly. Someone said, you saw a BBC presenter said, how is it when a white man gets killed, the world goes into mourning, and when 20,000 kids die, this doesn't happen. Actually, to the smart ass that said that and got fired, there is actually a scientific reason why. There's a scientific reason why. We measure it, we don't exactly know what causes it, but the charities that come on and they show you pictures of babies and whatever to try and entice you to give money to the charities. Well, they know if they put one single girl in that picture, in that video, this is facts, you can go check this out, you are more likely to donate, and you're likely to donate more money, mostly important. If you put 2 children in that picture, less people will donate, and the ones that do tend to donate less money, especially if you put a boy in that picture, and so on. There is a measurable cause and effect to numbers. If you start adding numbers of people can be outraged at the event, the whatever happened, but individual people start to get lost in the mix. It's not because we can't keep everybody in our head. So the exact scientific reason, I don't know if they figured out, but they do know. You put 1 child on that screen, you're going to get 1,000,000,000 times more sympathy than you are if you put 3 on there. It's just, charities know this. It's why they do what they do the way they do it. So to that smart ass presenter that got fired, that's why. And if you'd done your research, you wouldn't have needed to get fired, would you? But you were making a political statement. And that's exactly why I didn't want to jump on it, because of people like her, who just couldn't resist, and it's a man's life. It's his kids. Like, if you don't care about him, what about his kids? So there's going to be added emphasis on September 13th, because maybe you don't feel it, but I think there's going to be extra emphasis on it to stand up for free speech. Because, okay, unlikely in this country to have gunmen on the roofs, but people don't want it. And I've been saying this all along, people don't want free speech. And I think with what's happened to Charlie Kirk, I think we need to stand for him as well tomorrow. I think we need to stand for free speech in a way like we've never done before. And that is, to truly mean it, and truly, when the event's over, to truly practice that free speech after. Not just let it be an event. Let it be an event that gets to people, that wakes people up and makes them say, yeah, I'm going to go away, and I'm going to practice those little acts of insurrection that I talked about on my other video. Those little acts of insurrection that push our front lines forward a little bit further every day. It's time to start doing that with our free speech. Little acts of insurrection done by every single person in the country, will push the front lines of what we do forward. That is a fact. Every act of contrition, every act of retreat pushes their lines forward, and they not only do they push their lines forward, but they harden their lines so they can't go back again. So we need to be pushing our lines forward. Every little act of insurrection via free speech and otherwise, via these channels, it means everybody putting their ass in the sling and taking a risk. But as I've always said, share the risk. That's where it comes from. If everybody's doing it, they can't win. If everybody's exercising their free speech, they can't win. The reason they jailed people around Southport was to make an example of them. They knew they couldn't jail the whole country. Don't anybody get any illusions about that. They were acting quick and fast in the way that governments in this country have acted the whole time, and that is getting quick and fast so that they are a warning to everybody else, that other people are scared to go out and do the same thing. By the way, I'm not suggesting you go out and start riots or anything else. My point is the response to it and the way people talk about it. What I'm trying to say is the same with free speech. Like, people got jailed, so now people are scared to say what they mean. They can't put everybody in jail. Yes, there'll be a few sacrificial lambs, but they can't put everyone in jail. They'll have no voters left. So, free speech, I do believe, has just been, because of what's just happened, has been elevated even further up the list of priorities, even though to me it was already priority number one. Again, it's hard to talk too much about Charlie Kirk because it's still a fresh story, fresh feelings, and what can you say? What can you say? America's got a problem. There's 2 shooters for 2 people on the right. A president nearly downed, and this guy dead, Charlie Kirk dead. They got a problem over there. Their problems tend to be imported to here, and vice versa. So it's more important to stand up for free speech now than ever. It's more important to have courage now than ever. It's more important to push our lines forward now than ever. So I guess going and standing there together is the start of it. But don't let it be the finish. Let September 13th be the start of an insurrection. Not of violence, but an insurrection of free speech against the rules that would prevent it. Against the government that would have you shut on your house until it's time for you to go to work, and go to work in silence and come back in silence and do what you're told. And if you don't believe that, look around at the world around you now. It's going that way. And our country especially, every other country around the world is now looking at Britain going, right, the country of the free is now the country of the damned. And we are the only people left that can change it. So what do? Stand and take it? Or do we start with September 13th? And do we start with those little acts of insurrection? And again, I don't mean violence. I mean using that free speech at every opportunity. Tom Fury, Tom for Generation X. I'm calling it a day for now.